What is experimentation and why is it important? Experimentation, the testing of assumptions and constantly experimenting with controlled results. Okay, so let me say that again. Experimentation, the testing of assumptions and constantly experimenting with controlled risks. This is the lean startup. And the experimentation gives you that ability to adjust, which is critically important in today's marketplaces. Hey, I'm John Harris, and this is the Exponential Entrepreneurs Academy, coming to you live, not from my digital studio, but from London, where it's freezing right now. It was said like this by Bill Gates: success is a lousy teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking they can't lose. And it's very true that the hubris builds up exponentially. And it's very dangerous in today's fast-moving world. Corporate structures, you understand, are designed and built to withstand risk and change. A corporation, a business, wants to constantly channel revenue through a process, specific steps from the customer to receiving income. And those steps, they try to make it as rich as possible so that it continues and is constant. They're looking for predictability and scale of efficiency. Warren Buffett, you remember, looks for a durable competitive advantage, but he looks at a list of companies that he's interested in, and he looks for an opportunity to purchase those businesses at a discount for reasons he understands. But he's looking for consistency. He's looking for that 10% growth, and he will go back through the SEC and look at tax returns for 10, 15 plus years to check that that is the case and that is the consistency is there to get something of great value and get it at a discount. That consistency is how he was investing. Well, it's diametrically opposed, as you can understand, with today's rapidly changing business environment. You need to think about how you can adjust and how you're going to adapt to the new marketplace. The Japanese have been practicing Kaizen for over 50 years in the corporate world. And that's the constant incremental improvement, improving something consistently every day, all day, to get something better. Now, Apple has used a form of Kaizen when it rolled out its retail operation, which was high risk. And anybody in the PC world or device world will understand that it comes at high risk when you start doing retail outlets. So they brought in Millard Drexler, ex-CEO of Gap, and plus Ron Johnson of Target fame to run their retail operations. And what they did is they first created a store to prototype a store, the best that they thought would be for the store, the best look, the best type of model. And then what they did is they tested it. They asked people, they got information back from clients, and it's based on consumer data and the feedback that they got from getting information from the community. And that then Apple kept doing new iterations, small adjustments to that store, and it eventually came to, they continued doing it until they got enough validation. This is important, from the community. They reached a point at which the community was saying, this is very good, it's excellent, it's enjoyable, the experience is enjoyable. And that then is what they rolled out, and this is the next stage. So the rollout was first one store, I think it was, if I remember, Northern Virginia. And what happened thereafter is once that was functioning and they'd got all the bugs out and they got the thing running properly, they did a very aggressive rollout globally. And obviously they're in many, many countries around the world with hundreds of stores now. So that was their way of getting customer feedback and adjusting that store to make sure that it was going to work before they launched in a large scale. The lean approach by Eric Ries and Steve Blank, I've got a diagram, but obviously for those on the podcast can't see that. So I'm going to describe it to you. It's a triangle, 3 circles on each point of the triangle. And the first circle really comes down to ideas. So the ideation, various types of ideas that can be looked at, that may be utilized, or possibility of making profits, of monetizing, are then coded. If we're talking about the information world, are put into code, and that is obviously being built uh, out as a platform or some kind of software. Then that is measured. The data comes in from the community, and that is measured in order to learn. And that learning then goes from that data as the next circle. The code is the other. There's the ideas, the code, the data, and then that goes back to ideas again. It's an ever-ending, ever-learning process. Traditional approach to product development was the NDP, the new product development, and is based on the traditional, well-known watershed method and that waterfall method. So these are what used to basically take place, the steps. One would be idea generation, screening, product design, development, and commercialization. That was the standard type of product development that went on. Now we got an opportunity to change things, and we'll go a bit deep into that. Nassim Taleb of Black Swan fame says it like this. He says, knowledge gives you a little bit of an edge, but tinkering, trial and error, the reiterations, is the equivalent of 1,000 IQ points. It's tinkering that allowed the Industrial Revolution to take place. So that constant practical understanding and tinkering and making something work, the tweaking, same as we do in social media marketing nowadays, the tweaking and the tinkering to get the thing to hit the hotspot. That is what it's about. The lean startup itself had researched customers' needs, and then the proposed product does it match those needs? Both information on quantitative and qualitative data is brought in and ascertained and studied, and then deciphered as to what is needed next. Does the product, these are questions they're going to be asking. A company forms a conclusion based on a series of well-constructed questions. So the company is always thinking about these questions. And does the data fit this criteria? Does the product fit the need of the customer, first and foremost? Next, how did customers solve their problem, or how they've been solving it now and in the past? How were they solving it? And is there a better way of solving it? And then we're looking at what the costs are to the client currently to solve those problems. How much is it costing them currently? Is there a market that we can come in at a better price, same as or better? Should we adapt and change course? Is the area that we focus on now, the direction going on now, should we perhaps change direction? Many of the big platforms that are out there were set up as one idea and morphed into a completely different idea because of community feedback. Remember, we spoke about the crowd, community, and a core team. And it's that community feedback that is adjusting the product all the time. This is a process of constant learning quickly. And here's an important thing that comes from Eric Ries. This is what he says. The modern rule of competition is whoever remains fastest or learns fastest wins. So it's not just the learning. So whoever learns fastest wins. I would also add to that whoever implements fastest. So learns and implements fastest wins. And that's very true. Here is the process for corporate innovation. So for the bigger companies, and you can do this on a smaller level as an individual, but you're just not going to have 5 teams, you just have 5 individuals and get a team together. On a corporate level, you're looking at getting 5 teams together. It's a 5, 5, 5, 5. So it's 4 5s, okay? So you get 5 teams together, and then you're going to have 5 complementary members per team, and then they compete for 5 weeks. Again, if you've got 5 members on and you're small, you do it for 5 days, 5 hours, however long you lock yourself in a room, and that's what you start to then 1 to 2 days a week. If you're doing the 5-week process and you have a budget of $5,000, you can make it a smaller budget if it's a smaller type of business. The product, and the whole idea is to produce one innovative product that they can put to market. And the budget is ideal for testing assumptions with real customers, but whether that's offline or online. And what you're looking for is a problem and a solution. And with that, you can then develop methods, and produce something that can be scalable. After 5 weeks, each team presents its MVP. Something you need to remember, a minimum viable product. And the minimum viable product is important because that can then be put out again and again to iterate various change of iterations as the community responds to it. Look, here's another method. This is the garage experience. Okay, so for free thinkers from inside and outside the organization or the company with no boundaries. The following steps constitute a garage experience. 1. Detox, disconnect, and unplug from everything. You're basically locked into the garage. Empathize and immerse oneself so as to connect with the opportunity. So you're looking at an opportunity for a problem, you get a deep dive and keep onto that subject till you get a very good understanding of it. Boil ideas down to a creative brief. Once you have that written brief, some of the people goes fast to put, everyone wears it on their t-shirt, okay? So you have that written brief. Then agitate and drive ideation and share of solutions. Keep driving that solution, shaking it up to see that you get the best solution. Then prototype rapidly with your MVP to enable users to experience it and to give you feedback. Look, it's much easier, obviously, for people who are, or businesses that are involved in information products as opposed to pure physical products, because digital products allow you to get those rapid iterations, and that's why that's why as many people are trying to take the purely physical products into some form of information type product. Just to recap what we've gone over, and we're talking about experimentation. Remember, we were on the control side. We were on the creative side of exponentials. We're on the control side, and we have interfaces on the control side. We have dashboards, and now we're talking about experimentation. And why it's important is because, one, you can rapidly change externalities. So you can rapidly change, okay, from external input. You can maximize value. You can capture that value of what is most wanted and most requested by potential clients. It's a faster to market. With your MVP, you get it much faster to market. The amount of time it takes to get an MVP to market as to complete it. Understand, in the old days, a car, 3 years or whatever it was, to produce a new model and then get it out to market, and then it may not succeed. Here, you're doing it as you're developing the product. From a minimum viable product to your actual product, and you're changing it up as it's happening. And risk-taking gives you that edge of faster learning. And the pre-requirements, you obviously have to have measurement, tracking, experimentation, and that must be built in through your dashboards, and your cultural acceptance within the organization. You need to have people that are quite happy to change direction, to change speed, to be flexible. So that gives you a little bit of idea of experimentation. We're going to go to autonomy next on the next episode. As usual, you can like, follow, subscribe to us. And if you'd like to go to the Exponential Entrepreneurs Academy Facebook page, and you can go on there to see when our next event, or when there's more information, there's a link there. And we will see you in the next episode.